Hey guys, I'm here with something a little different today. Now, Legend of Leo basically made a request that people make a video response to his video, which is basically he wants us to do a 3x3 of our favourite games, but he wants to add stipulations because of course he wants to make everything complicated. So because of this, I had to add some stipulations as well. Now, his stipulations were games he grew up with, so games of his childhood, games of his adolescence, and games of his adulthood. I can't remember all that shit, guys. I can't remember what I played as a kid, what I played as an adolescent, and what I played as an adult, you know? Like, the time between adolescence and adulthood to me is a blur. Like, I don't know whether I played a game in my adolescence or in my adulthood, so I couldn't do that. At the same time, he also put, like, consoles, PC, and handheld. Well, I didn't have a PC when I was a child, so how could I mention PC for the child category? So I had to basically make my own categories. Now, I have a few rules for this. No remakes and no handheld. Why do I put no handheld? Well, here's the thing. When I say no handheld, I mean no handheld. Handheld games do not exist for the purpose of this list. So if the third game, for example, is a handheld, or the second game is a handheld, ignore that. The second game is going to be like the non-handheld game. The reason why is because, well, games like Star Ocean Blue Sphere exist, which you could consider Star Ocean Blue Sphere to be the third Star Ocean game, but is it really? Like, is it really the third Star Ocean game? It's a direct sequel to Star Ocean 2, but it's not really a third Star Ocean game in the traditional sense where it's like, it's a whole new story and setting. It's just a direct sequel, you know? Because of that, I don't want to include handheld, just simply because in case of that situation. Another thing, no remakes. Well, the reason for that is it just makes my life easier because, well, I don't want to end up filling my list with, like, remakes and stuff. Like, I think it would just make things more complicated if I allowed remakes. And it allows me to be more creative with my list because it means that I'd be able to pick games that did it right the first time as opposed to games that got it right eventually. So, yeah, no remakes. So the categories, I'm putting beat 'em up, RPG, racing, because those are the genres that I'm mostly familiar with. And I'm doing something interesting here, guys. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I've noticed a few things about games. And I wanted to kind of do a test for myself to see if I'm kind of right here. But I wanted to pick a game that is the first game in the franchise or the series, or a standalone game. Now, the reason why I put standalone is because that makes my life a lot easier because there's a lot of standalone games out there. Then the sequel or the second game in the series, though I will... And the thing is, for these next two, like the second in the series and the third in the series, like I said, like no handheld. But also, I want to also say that if the game has the number 2 or number 3 in the game title, regardless of where it is in the series, like, for example, you have Atelier Iris 2, like, which is part of the Atelier series, which is a huge series, because technically Atelier Iris 2 is, it's not the second Atelier game, let's put it that way. So, you'd think, well, that doesn't count, but I'm counting games that have 2 in them, even if they aren't the second game in the series, but they are the second game in a sub-series, they count. Same with 3, like, if I wanted to put Atelier Iris 3 in there, then it would count even though Atelier Iris 3 is not the third Atelier game. Just saying. And obviously, like, the same goes for, like, Pokemon XD and Colosseum. Like Pokemon XD is not the second Pokemon game, but it is the sequel to Pokemon Colosseum, so that would be allowed in the second in the series. So when I say series, I mean not just like series, but like sub-series. So, like, if it's like a sub-series within a series, then and it's number 2 in that, then it counts as second. If the same goes for number 3, if there's like a series and a sub-series for like third. Just thought I'd make that clear because I know people will be like, well, that's actually not number 2. That's number 6. I'm like, okay, we get it. We get your fucking point. So I just wanted to make that clear. So yeah, without further ado, let's begin. I'm going to be just getting images from Google for this because it's the only way I can do it. Like, this is the first time doing something like this, so hopefully this works. Anyways, so the first one is the first in the series or standalone beat 'em up. So I was originally going to put another game down because of, like, and this is the thing, this is why I put no remakes, because I was just like, well, if I put remakes down, then this would change this category completely. But I think there's a certain game, a very special game, that deserves this spot. And it's a very special game to me. You know, it's very near and dear to my heart is this game. It deserves to be on this 3x3 so much that I have to put it there. And that game, I'm just gonna like copy paste it because this is a very unprofessional video. So I'm gonna put it here. There we go. That game is Urban Reign. Yes, we have to fit it in the box somehow. Yeah, this is what we have to do when we do these things now. Yeah, we have to put them in. We have to like mess around with paint. I don't use all these fancy Photoshops, guys, or anything like that. I use paint because I'm the real deal, guys. Speaking of which, there's a character called Real Deal in this game. There is. Urban Reign is a classic. It is. Like, there's no two ways about it. This is one of the most definitive beat 'em ups ever made. This is the game that defines pure raw action. This is hands down one of the most masculine games ever made, if not the most. Well, actually no, there is more. There is one game that is a little bit more masculine than this. You'll see that soon enough. But this game is just pure raw masculine energy in video game form. I cannot stress that enough. Like, you've seen me talk about this game so many times. It is a legendary game. It gets to the point. Don't waste any time. Respects the player's time. Gets to the point. Combat is simple. There's no bullshit inherent complexity. No bullshit input complexity. Anyone can pick up and play this game. But this game is hard to master, and this game is challenging. This is the perfect beat 'em up from a gameplay standpoint. Like, it is. From a pure gameplay standpoint, Urban Reign cannot be beat. It is the perfect beat 'em up. Period. Like, it is. The thing about it is, though, is that that's all there really is in this game. It's pure gameplay. If you're looking for anything else, Urban Reign might not deliver that, but it will definitely deliver a solid gameplay experience. It has a decent soundtrack. I mean, visually, it's what you would expect for like an urban game, but you know, it's all about ass kicking. That's what this game's all about, and it embodies ass kicking. It's the definitive ass kicking experience. Nothing can beat it in that regard. It is one of a kind. Truly, it is. It's just one of those games where you can just take yourself into another world, a world of violence and pain, and and testosterone, just for like a split second. And the moment you get started playing Urban Reign, like, you just want to just murder people. Like, you cannot stop playing this game when you start. You just can't. That's the sign of a good game. Most beat 'em ups out there, I will play for a few minutes and then I'll just stop. I cannot stop playing Urban Reign. That's how scary it is. It's scarily addictive because it just doesn't waste your time. It gets straight to the point. The fights go by so quickly. Like, either you will get beaten up in seconds or you will beat the crap out of them in seconds. Then you just want to move on to the next punch-up. That's what this game's all about. And you will want to do it. It's just like you go from one to the next, and every time you beat the crap out of an enemy, it feels so fucking satisfying. Every time you get the crap beaten out of you, yeah, you could argue it can be a little frustrating at times, but you can just instant retry and just keep going and keep going, and every time that you try and fight these enemies, eventually you will get the upper hand. But, you know, it takes a few tries sometimes, because they are really tough and really difficult, but with enough persistence you can do it. And that's what I like about Urban Reign, the fact that there's so many of those so close, yet, you know, so close moments where it's just like, you can just about, like, clutch it, you know, and it just feels so satisfying when you do. But there's also moments where it's just like, you know, you can bounce back. Like, you can be absolutely getting ruffle stomped, and then suddenly you just bounce back, and then you just immediately make the ultimate comeback, which allows you to, like, get back into the game. So yeah, you can do stuff like that in this game. It has all the appeal of a fighting game without all the bullshit that comes with being a fighting game, like input complexity and all of that lot. Like, the gameplay is like a wrestling game, but it's a beat 'em up, which to me is perfect because I enjoy playing wrestling games, but beat-em-ups I also enjoy, so it's like two things that go together really well. It's more technical than your average wrestling game in certain ways, but at the same time it's kind of complicated in that regard, because the evasion system is definitely more interesting than wrestling games in my opinion. Well, I guess wrestling games are kind of the same, but I find that because you can do like the precise like dodges in this game, you can technically do a lot of really awesome shit if you're really good, like by doing the timed evasions and stuff. Like it's very similar to wrestling games, but at the same time it has its own unique aspect that just makes it stand out, because you're fighting multiple people, and like there's a lot of moves that you will never be able to do in wrestling games, like double attacks, for example, and like juggling enemies only to follow up with a power bomb, stuff like that. Like that keeps it unique and interesting. So yeah, Urban Reign is definitely my pick. What a game! Absolutely legendary game. This definitely deserves to be on this 3x3. Now for role-playing game, this one's tricky. There's quite a few standalone JRPGs that I really like, but the one that stands out to me the most is a game that is truly special to me, a game that I really don't talk enough about on this channel, but I have reviewed it not long ago on my website, and that game is... Give me a minute. Or a second. I'm pressing the wrong thing. God damn it. There we go. Baten Kaitos Eternal Wings in the Lost Ocean. Yeah, this game. Now, Baten Kaitos is a game that caters specifically to my tastes. I'm not going to say it's going to be the best game you will ever play, but it's one of the best games I ever played. You know, it's a game that caters specifically to people like myself, and only to people like myself. If you are the sort of person who enjoys artistic exploration, and I'm going to say that just because it makes things sound simple, because I know that people look at exploration as, oh yes, I found a treasure chest, oh yes, I discovered like a path to get to the next area. No, that's not exploration to me. This game, Baten Kaitos, is exploration. Now, there are a few puzzle bits in this game, but you know, let's just overlook that for a minute. The thing I love about Baten Kaitos is just how varied and just how much shock factor this game has. This game is a fucking acid trip. This game takes you on a journey through the most surreal world you'll ever see in your life, and that's exactly why I play JRPGs. That's exactly why I play JRPGs, folks. Like, I play JRPGs to escape into these surreal worlds, and that's exactly what Baten Kaitos Eternal Wings in the Lost Ocean is all about. To top it off, you've also got Motoi Sakuraba doing the soundtrack, and it's one of his best soundtracks, and you've got a really unique card combat system, which I've always enjoyed a lot. Now, this game definitely deserves to be on the 3x3, like, for that reason. I mean, I wish that I covered it more. I'm not going to say that this game is flawless, because this game does have its flaws, it does, and that's one of the reasons why this game isn't on my top 10 favourite games of all time, because of its flaws. It does have its flaws. I mean, it's a very special game to me, but I'm not going to say that it's flawless. It does have issues. But I love this game. I love what this game does. I love what this game is all about. This game is definitely a game for me, and I respect the fact that the developers actually made a game that caters to my tastes. And there are some interesting twists and turns. There's a lot of moments in this game that you just will not see coming. Like, this game throws every single curveball your way in regards to like unpredictability. Like, you play this game because you just want to see what crazy shit you're gonna see next, you know, as it's just so surreal and out there that you just can't help but love it. And it's in JRPG form, so if you're looking for a JRPG that's just weird and surreal and just completely different and completely out there, this is the game for you. If you're looking for a visual and audio or artistic masterpiece, you're going to adore this game. Is it the best of its kind? No. We'll get to that. But, is it a damn solid one? Hell yes. Baten Kaitos Eternal Wings is absolutely a phenomenal JRPG with some flaws. But if you are the target audience for this game, you are going to love every minute of it. I mean, you might have a few moments in the game where it's just like, yeah, this isn't great, but what makes up for it is the visual and the music. That's just peaked throughout. That is just peaked throughout. Like, the shortcomings of this game are more than made up for by the artistic merits that this game has for it. So, you know, like, the artistic merits more than make up for the issues that this game has in my eyes. So it definitely deserves to be on this 3x3. So now we have racing, and there's a lot of racing games that I could pick for this, but I'm going to pick a game that I know I'm going to put on this because I'm picking a game that I've played to death, that I've played a lot, that I've had a lot of fun playing with friends. This is one of my go-to multiplayer games throughout my life, and it's a special game to me. It's a game that is getting a sequel, although I'm not going to play that sequel for obvious reasons, but I don't think this game really, like, needed to have a sequel, because this game was ahead of its time anyway. I mean, okay, yeah, a sequel would have been cool if they were going to add certain features to it that would have, like for example, customization and stuff like that with the vehicles. That would have been a really cool thing, but based on what I'm seeing, it doesn't look like they're doing that, and therefore it's just like, well, what's the point? But either way, the game I'm going to be talking about is this game. Kirby Air Ride, yes. This, believe it or not, people, was my very first Kirby game. This is the game that got me into Kirby. I know, it's crazy. I got into Kirby with the freaking racing spin-off, not the actual platformer Kirby games that I should have got into the series with. But Kirby Air Ride is special because Kirby Air Ride is a game that anyone can pick up and play. It's deliberately made to be that way. It's a gorgeous, like, vibrant, colourful looking game, which you'd expect from Kirby. And this is like the first 3D Kirby game. And they definitely made the most out of that by making some gorgeous racetracks. And the thing about Kirby Air Ride that makes it so great is because is that this game released in the 2000s, back when open world wasn't a thing. Like, open world games nowadays, we're kind of getting sick of them, we're kind of getting fed up with them, but back in the 2000s, games were mostly linear. Now, Kirby Air Ride did something interesting that no other, like, racing game at Nintendo, like, no Mario Kart game at that point or anything else like that had ever done before. And that was to have a mode called City Trial. Now, City Trial instantly elevates this to the top and instantly gives it this spot on the 3x3 just simply because of how unique it was for the time, and the fact that it gave us a sandbox where we could just drive around wherever we want, like picking up items to get stronger, finding different machines and discovering the legendary machines and participating in all of the different events. It was a different way to play a racing game, and it was so fun and creative and unique, and it made for the perfect party game experience when you have friends around. You know, this was the ultimate multiplayer experience. It was. It's a game that anyone can pick up and play this game, but the thing is that, like, the game is just fun and there's so many different things to do. You could play this game for hours on end and never get bored. Like, you just could. And, like, obviously it's not the most balanced racing game out there. It's definitely, like, not a game that you're going to spend a lot of time playing solo, but if you play multiplayer, you'll be playing for ages. Like, at least if you have some honor rules because of the balancing things. But, like, City Trial, like, was just amazing. I just love the concept of just, like, roaming around the city. And this is the thing, people. City Trial was like a very small sandbox. It wasn't a huge open world that was just empty. No, each area of the city had its own, like, specific, like, zone in it that kind of represented different things. Like, you had, like, the middle bit, which was like the city center. You had, like, the city hall. You had the volcano. You had the golf course. You know, you had the what I think was a multi-story car park at the bottom, the electric lounge. I don't know what it's supposed to be really, but it looked like a multi-story car park. I don't know what it really was, but yeah, and then you have like the wharf on the other side. So you had all these different little areas that kept it varied. And then you have the underground, which is right underneath it all, where, like, in the free roam, you had all the machines laid out for you that you could pilot whenever you wanted. And, of course, like, you're finding boxes around the sea. You can just glide around into the air and just explore from the sky if you have a machine that's capable of that, which allowed you to, like, land on skyscrapers, which will allow you to get other machines. Like, there was so much fun stuff that you could do. This game allowed for total freedom, and that's one of the things I absolutely loved about it. And obviously the tracks look gorgeous, you know, like, the music is also pretty nice as well. A lot of it's like music that's straight from the Kirby anime, but there's other songs in the game that are great as well, like Frozen Hillside, I think. That song, which sounds like a great, like, Christmassy song, I guess. It'd be like one of those songs that sounds like... It sounds like a Christmas song, it definitely does, but yeah, like... I really enjoyed this game. Definitely deserves to be there. It's one of my childhood games, so I fucking love it. Okay, so now we're getting into the second game in the series. So this is where things get interesting. Now, the reason why I wanted to do first, second, and third is because I've always found that the second game in a franchise tends to be the best. In many cases. I'm going to test this right now. So, we're going to have the second beat 'em up in the franchise. A second beat 'em up in the franchise. Now, this is going to be interesting. I know what I'm going to pick, but the thing is that beat 'em ups, like with number 2 in the series, well, like, I think there's some good games that are number 2, and there's some bad games that are number 2 when it comes to beat 'em ups. Like, I think when it comes to sequels, like, they're either going to be the best in the series or the worst in the series. There's very rarely any middle ground when it comes to sequels. Like, it's either going to be the best thing ever or the worst thing ever. And usually, if it's the worst thing ever, the third game tends to be the game that ends up being the best. That's kind of how I've noticed things. But anyways, like, the best second beat 'em up in a series is a game that I've really wanted to talk about a lot on this channel, but I've never been able to talk about it, just simply because I've never had the opportunity, and at the same time, it's like, every time I had the opportunity, like, I just decided not to bother because I wanted to do something else. So it is a shame that I've never been able to talk about this series, because it's a series that is very, very important to me, and is one of my favourite video game franchises of all time that I never talk about. And I'm going to talk about this series finally, like, more in depth for the first time in this video, because my favourite second beat 'em up in a franchise is Onimusha 2. Yes, the Onimusha series. I am a fan of this series. I absolutely adore Onimusha. This game is my personal favourite in the Onimusha series. I've never talked about Onimusha in my videos much. Like, it's kind of sad how I never bring up Onimusha in my videos, because I should be bringing it up more. But the thing is, a lot of people already know Onimusha. They've already talked about Onimusha to death. It's getting a 5th game, which is going to be yet another reboot. Another reboot that is absolutely nothing like the original. You know, it's just like another Valkyrie Elysium. Another freaking Painkiller, which is releasing soon, by the way, by Saber. You know, another one of those games. Yeah, those games, I know. Hopefully they don't fuck it up. But Onimusha 2 is, in my opinion, my favourite of the Onimusha franchise. I adore this game. Now, I know that this game isn't for everyone. A lot of people don't like this game because of the gift-giving mechanic that they have to engage with, but I love the gift-giving mechanic. It kind of reminds me of a lot of JRPGs, like Star Ocean with, like, the private actions, and, like, I mean, there's other ones, like Ys 8 has a gift-giving mechanic, you know? I like the whole, like, you get, when you give a gift to a character and seeing that their different reactions to the gifts that you give, and, you know, I just think it's a fun system, and it's very creative. And yeah, that's one of the things I do like about it. So what people don't like about Onimusha 2 is something that I like about Onimusha 2. Another thing that this game has are the secret texts, which they removed in Onimusha 3, probably because they are a bit imbalanced, but they are super fun to use, where you can make a combo extender by... Yeah, there's a bit of input complexity there, I'm not gonna lie, there is, but if you like press up and down in the middle of like a combo, you can extend it, and you can use it to kind of like attack enemies that usually don't stagger from normal attacks, but they will stagger from these secret texts, which is kind of how it is a bit imbalanced, because it means that you don't really utilize the charge attacks as much, even though you still can, but you know, it's just like, it can be a little bit cheesy to use it. It's a bit of a cheese, but even then, like, it's not really a huge issue for me. I'm not one of those people that cares much about balancing, guys. I think a lot of that's due to the fact that I don't really care about like difficulty in games and challenging games. I just want to play games to have fun. This game has fun combat. You know, it's not perfect. I think the boss fights aren't really the strongest point of this game. I think that 3 does a better job at the bosses, but 2 definitely does a better job in the overall gameplay department, in my opinion. I think that the unique aspects of 2 makes it stand out more. I like the cast of 2 a lot as well, like a lot more. It's just got a really varied cast, and the thing I like about Onimusha 2 is it isn't afraid to be a little silly and goofy at times, despite being like a samurai epic. It's almost like a parody of a samurai epic in a way. That's kind of how it feels at times, but it's a really fun, unique experience. Like, at least for me, if you're looking for something a little silly, but also kind of serious and like dark as well, because you're fighting Genma demons and stuff. You know, you play as Jubei in this game. Jubei is a bad motherfucker. You know, like, a lot of people love Samanosuke, a lot of people know Samanosuke as being the protagonist of Onimusha, but Jubei is no slouch. Jubei is great. Jubei is awesome in his own right. I just love how he's kind of like the serious dude of the game, you know, the guy who's always serious all the time, and that kind of plays to his strength, you know. He's kind of the butt of all the jokes in the game because of how serious he is, and like every other character is just kind of goofy or like weird as shit, and he kind of has to deal with that. And I love how he like plays off of all the other characters. Yeah, like, and like, I'm making it sound like a JRPG, but I guess that's part of the reason why I like it, because I like RPGs. And it does feel somewhat like that a little bit, but it is a beat 'em up. Yeah, and it's still got the tank controls. I mean, the remaster that released, I think, removed them, so if you want to get rid of the tank controls, you could play, like, the re-release. But I didn't really think they were that problematic, because you can work around it by utilizing the stance, which essentially allows you to move around much more easily without having to steer your character. You can just, like, skid around, like, it's sort of like the dodge sort of thing. When you enter the stance mode, you can like press the button and you kind of like do like side steps. I find that's much better for movement personally. I know it looks unnatural, but it's really handy in a fight. And obviously you have Isens in this game, but you also have chain Isens, so you can, if you have a fully charged like attack and you time it perfectly, you can use an Isen on multiple enemies at once, which is extremely satisfying if you can pull it off, but it's very difficult. This game isn't easy by any stretch. It's one of the more tougher Onimusha games. It's not the toughest, but it's still one of the more tougher ones. But it's definitely a fun time, and yeah, like, I mean, it's definitely my favourite of the Onimusha games. And the thing is, Onimusha, I want to just take my time and say this, because Onimusha is my favourite Capcom series. It's my favourite franchise by Capcom. Every single Onimusha game is fucking brilliant. I love Onimusha Warlords. Well, I think Genma's a little better, but Warlords has one issue, I'll just say this, and that is the water puzzle. Everything else about it is still a fun enough game. It's probably the worst in the series, is the first one, but... well, we'll see how the latest one, like, Way of the Sword is. But, like, it's still decent. But 2 is obviously my favourite. But 3 is almost up there. 3, like, 2 and 3 are so close. I can't stress it enough. Like, Onimusha 2, it might be my favourite, but not by much. Like, 3 is right next to it. 3 is fucking amazing. 3 is another amazing game that, honestly, like... Like, it was so hard to decide between 2 and 3. So hard to decide, because there's things that 3 does that are better than 2, and there's things that 2 does that are better than 3. Personally, I edge towards 2, but 3 is very close. I adore 3. I fucking do. 3 is just amazing. And then you have Dawn of Dreams, which honestly, if Dawn of Dreams was in a different franchise, it probably would be my favorite game in the franchise, because that's another game that, you know, caters to my taste. It's very much like a JRPG in a way. Like, some would say it is a JRPG, and in that regard, it is kind of like unique for the series, and it's the one that you'd think would be my pick because of that. But Onimusha 2 is just special to me, and I picked Onimusha 2. Very hard choice between those 3 games. Like, freaking Onimusha 2, Onimusha 3, Onimusha Dawn of Dreams. They're all fucking amazing. Like, Dawn of Dreams has the better soundtrack. Onimusha 3 has the better bosses and is overall the most balanced. But Onimusha 2 feels like it has the most complete package, and it just feels like the most unique and interesting, and it just feels like the most. I just really like Onimusha 2. I don't like. There's just something about it that just speaks to me. You know, that just speaks to me, that I absolutely love. Like, I love the secret text. I love like how this game has such a, like, you have more than just like regular attack and charge attack and magic. You actually have the secret text. Whereas in Onimusha Dawn of Dreams, they remove charge attacks, and Onimusha 3, they remove secret text. So it's just kind of like, yeah. Like, Onimusha 2 has it all. Like, granted, Onimusha 2 doesn't have, like, the boatloads of moves that Dawn of Dreams has, but the thing about it is that every move in Onimusha 2 is useful. So, you know, like, it's not really a waste to have, like, anything in this game. All of the moves are useful. I mean, the thing is that even the normals are useful because you can combo the normals into your secret text. Whereas, yes, you can technically do that in Onimusha Dawn of Dreams, but in Dawn of Dreams it's harder because you don't have the freaking, like, D-pad. It's so much easier to do the inputs with the D-pad, whereas in Dawn of Dreams you have to use the analog stick, and I hate using analog sticks for fucking inputs so much. It's fucking horrible. So yeah, for doing up downs and then it does a diagonal left instead. Oh god, I hate input complexity when I'm using a freaking analog stick. I just don't know how people put up with it. But yes, Onimusha 2 is my favorite beat 'em up sequel. So my favorite sequel, like my favorite RPG sequel, this should be no surprise to anybody. We all know what's going here. This one is my favorite game of all time, so you all know that this is going to be my pick for RPG sequel. Yes, it's obviously going to be Valkyrie Profile 2 Silmeria. What else is it going to be, guys? Now, here's the thing. Number two, sequels for JRPGs, there's so many legendary sequels. So many legendary games that are the second in the series that could be mentioned here. Like, I could mention Grandia 2. I could mention, like, Shadow Hearts Covenant. I could mention freaking Atelier Iris 2, you know? Like, I could mention so many games that I fucking love that are JRPGs. You know, Paper Mario 1000 Year Door is another one that is the second game in the series, you know, that I fucking adore. Like, there's so many. Like, it seems that 2 is the most blessed number for JRPGs, you know? Like, I mean, you've got Star Ocean 2, that's a pretty good one, you know? You've got so many, man. Like, it's harder to find. Well, actually, no, it's not hard to find. There are games with 2 in the name that aren't very good. Granted, I haven't played, like, Xenosaga 2, so I wouldn't know, but if you ask Borsenberg, he will say that game is one of the worst games he's ever played in his life. He despises that game. He despises that game with a passion. But like I said, 2 is either the best thing ever made or the worst thing ever made. But it's just one of those things, isn't it? But obviously, my pick is Valkyrie Profile 2 Silmeria. Like, I've talked about this game to death. What more can I say? I think I have had a bit of reflection with this game, and I've kind of felt the best way to describe Valkyrie Profile 2 ultimately is it's a game that you play for the story, but you stay for everything else. I think that's the best way to describe this game. Like, the story, like, I will give you a secret, guys, that I've never said before. when I first played Valve Profile 2, like, I was playing Valve Profile 1 and I hated it. I hated Valve Profile 1. I fucking did. I mean, it's grown on me since then. But then out of curiosity, I was looking on YouTube videos and I found cutscenes from Valve Profile 2. And I watched all the cutscenes from Valve Profile 2 without even having played the game. And just by doing that, watching all the cutscenes, I was like, I need to play this game. And I bought this game because of watching the cutscenes on YouTube. And I played this after knowing all the story, and little did I know that doing that would make, little did I know that even though I watched all the cutscenes, little did I know that this would be my favourite game of all time. Like, at first when I was watching the cutscenes, I was just curious. I was like, oh, this actually looks pretty interesting. I actually want to know more. And that I kept watching the cutscenes to see more of this story, and I was like, you know, I know I'm not really into Valve Profile 1, but I should give 2 a try at the very least. I mean, at least, the story looks good enough. I need to give it a try. That was the best decision I ever made, because this is a masterpiece. This game is the pinnacle of gaming, the greatest of them all, the most legendary game ever. Now, this game is literally, This game is literally Baten Kaitos' successor. It took what Baten Kaitos did and it improved it in every single way. That's what this is. You look at Baten Kaitos as the artistic exploration game. No, this is the artistic exploration game. Baten Kaitos wishes it was Valve Profile 2. Now, don't get me wrong, Baten Kaitos is still a fun game. It's still a great game. It's still an excellent game. It's still a game that offers a fantastic, unique, artistic experience, and it's not really comparable with Valve Profile 2 because it's a different vibe. Baten Kaitos is more on the surreal side, whereas Valve Profile 2, every location, it feels more gritty and more believable, but from a certain time period. But just the way they illustrate every single landscape in this game, all the locations, is just so fucking gorgeous. This game, if I could describe this game in one word, it would be sublime. You know, it would be serene. There's another word. You know, that's the perfect way to describe it. It's a game where, all of the locations and all of the music in this game are literally fucking therapy sessions. This is what they are. This is one of the most therapeutic games you'll ever play in your life. It's a game where you will, it's just, the vibe I get from this game is just so chill, and relaxing, and just, you just, take in all of the atmosphere, and it's a world that is so unbelievably compelling, especially given the fact that it's carrying all the lore from the first Valve Profile game, and there's just so much fan service for Valve Profile fans in this game. Even if you didn't like Valve Profile, the fan service you'll still love because you recognize these characters from Valve Profile 1, you know, and it's just you want to see what happens, but at the same time, it's just while the story is good, it's not without its flaws, and I do enjoy the story, everything else, man, the music is just phenomenal. I mean it. I think that this game's soundtrack is better than Chrono Cross. I don't care what anyone fucking says. I think this game surpasses Chrono Cross in its soundtrack. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that. I don't care. The reason being is because this game makes you feel so much emotion with its music. The moments that the music plays in this game, and when they play in the story and stuff, you just feel so emotional because of the music. The music carries the experience, and obviously the artistic aspects and the visuals. The music and the visuals just carry this experience to the next level, and it just, everything else just follows it. I think that's the best way to describe it, you know. But even without the story, the music is still great in the areas where the story is weak. And same goes for the visuals. And it's one of those games that you're just drawn into just simply because of its artistic spectacle throughout the entire experience. And that's before we even get on with the combat system, which is by far the most unique and, in my opinion, the greatest combat system of all time. There's no other game like it. There's been pretenders. There has been. Lightning Returns, Final Fantasy 13 Lightning Returns, and many others, but nothing has ever reached the same level as Valve Profile 2. Now, is it a balanced game? No. Is it a game that you can break and make piss easy? Yes. Is it an easy game? No. It can be pretty difficult if you don't break it. But does that matter? This game is so unique and so deep. There's so much depth in this game, and there's so many ways that you can play it and have fun with it. There's so many ways that you can utilize combos and juggle enemies, in loads of creative ways, and every hit that you connect with, the visual flair of the combat in itself is legendary. This is a game where not only is the combat deep, like, not only does the combat have depth, but the combat looks good. It looks sublime. It befits the rest of the game, the whole nature of the game of sublimity and, like, serenity that this game embodies throughout the entire experience from beginning to end. And the combat, like, blends in with that. Like, all the moves just feel like they have so much impact, like, particularly if you hit a critical where you just hear like a really loud, like, louder noise to, like, really like make that impact feel more impactful, you know. And it's just like and like every aspect of this game has so much TLC, you know, so much tender loving care put into it. Like, there's so many little details that I think a lot of people take for granted with this game that I fucking adore. Like, so many, like the fucking voice acting. Like, the voice acting of this game has the greatest English dub of all time. I swear to fucking God it does. You know, you'll hear characters, like, scream their fucking attacks and do all of these crazy incantations and their great magics, and and they'll start talking, like, at the beginning of battle, and like in certain boss fights you'll hear, like, bosses talk in the middle of battle sometimes, like, or like bosses talking in different points of battle, and it's just like, you know, like, there's just so much in battle dialogue that I absolutely love.
I'll crush you. Prismatic missile. Kneel down before me.
And I think one of the coolest things about this game is the fact that the Einherjar that you recruit, while a lot of people have criticized this game for having no Einherjar cutscenes, like, which is ridiculous. Like, you have a full cast of characters in this game. It's not like Valkyrie, where the Einherjar is all you've got. This actually has a main cast of characters that, you know, are actually involved in the main story. Why do you need Einherjar cutscenes? But the thing is that despite all of that fact, and despite the fact that the Einherjar were actually a last-minute addition to the game that they weren't actually planning on having in the game, they put so much effort and detail into making these Einherjar interconnected. And the thing that makes it interesting is you can't just watch a cutscene to know their whole backstory. If you want to know all the backstory of the Einherjar, you actually have to put in work. And that's why people don't like this game. That's why people hate Valkyrie 2 and curse its name. That is why this game has so many naysayers that trash on it all the time and say that it's shit, because they can't be bothered to do basic fucking reading. They can't be bothered to read freaking biographies, because everything you have to actually do work. You actually have to read these backstories. You actually have to put these characters in battle and hear their battle dialogue to tie everything together. It's like you'll have characters that, you know, you'll read their backstory, you'll see them in battle, and then they'll just do normal cuts. Then you put someone else in the party that they know, and they'll start the battle with an interaction with each other. It's so great. I fucking love that. Which is a great way of tying everything together and having the player piece everything together, and it's just so unique. I think that is better than the Einherjar cutscenes of Valkyrie 1. I mean, the Einherjar cutscenes of Valkyrie 1, don't get me wrong, they are tragic, they are, like, emotionally impactful, and they are very well presented. But I would rather have the Einherjar system from Valkyrie 2, knowing just how far down, like, how deep it goes through history and all the timelines that all intertwine and connect leading up to this moment. It makes you really care about the lore all the more. I mean, the lore in Valkyrie 1 was great as it was, but there's even more lore in Valkyrie 2, which makes this game, like, because it's got Valkyrie 1's lore on top of 2's lore, it makes this fucking game's lore so unbelievably deep. There's just so much lore, so much backstory, all the locations are fucking drop dead gorgeous. Everything about this game is drop dead gorgeous, everything about it. The voice acting is fucking hammy to fuck, and you feel like a bad motherfucker as you just make these epic incantations and beat the fucking shit out of people with, like, this super powerful move with your fucking soul crushes, which are probably the most spectacular, like, finishing moves in video games ever. and it's just like, I fucking love it. Like, you just go from like the doing all these crazy combos, and then you just finish them off with like a special move, a freaking Soul Crush, which is always awesome, and it just feels so damn fucking cool to do it. It's one of those satisfying things you'll ever experience in your life, you know. And on top of that, you know, like, phenomenal soundtrack and a solid story, you know, and the phenomenal visuals. Like, there's not many things that this game does wrong. That, like, there's so many things that I love about this game. This game is the best in so many different ways. It has the best battle system, it has the best soundtrack, it has the best visuals. The only thing it doesn't have the best is story, but the story is still fucking good. That's why it's my favorite game of all time, people, because it wins in every category except story, and story is still fucking good. Everything about this game, just I'm just super invested in, and that's why it's my favorite game of all time. I know, I don't want to drone on about it anymore. I've already done like an analysis video. I also mentioned it in my Star Ocean and Valkyrie Fire Connected video, where I delve into it more and kind of mention things that I didn't mention before in my like original analysis of it, because I can talk about this game to death. So I'm not going to bore you by talking about Valkyrie Fire 2 to death any more than I already have by getting to the racing sequel. So this is where I break my rule a little bit, because sequels of racing games, well, to be perfectly honest, guys, the racing game series tend to have a lot of games in them, and yeah, like, when I think of a sequel, like an actual sequel, now, there is another game that I want to mention here, and yes, I could mention another game here as a sequel, but I don't want to have multiple games from, like, the same, like, I don't want to have 2 games from the same series in this. That's why I'm allowing sub-series in this. You know? I think you know what I could have put here, guys. I think you know what I could have put here. I think some people will basically be, like, some people, and I know there's going to be that one individual, I know who you are, you know who you are, that is demanding that I put a very specific game here, and here's the thing. I would, but there's another game that is better that I want to put on here. You know what it is. You guys know what it is. And because of that, I'm not going to put it here. I am sorry. You know who you are. My apologies. But unfortunately, I want to keep this list, I want to keep this 3x3 a little bit more interesting. So the second in the series, I'm going to pick a sub-series for this one, because that makes my life easier. Because, and here's the thing, like, I find that racing games that have 2 in them, like, they kind of like, it usually takes the 3rd game in a racing game franchise to really find its footing, I find. Like, usually in most cases, like, there's a lot of great racing games with the number 3 in them. Like, there's a lot of great JRPGs with the number 2, and there's a lot of great racing games with the number 3, I find. Like, I know it's crazy, but this is number 2 in the racing game, so I know that this may seem like a bit of a cop-out answer, and it may be a little bit of a generic answer, and you're probably expecting something better from me, but I'm actually going to go with this as my answer. I know people are going to be like, really? You're going to go with this game? But, yeah, we're picking Need for Speed Underground 2. Yeah, the image is a bit small. I couldn't find a bigger image, unfortunately, so I'm just going to use it. I'll expand it a little bit. But yeah, Need for Speed Underground 2 is my pick for second in the series. So, Need for Speed Underground 2, my first experience playing Need for Speed Underground 2 was the demo for Burnout 3, which, once again, proving my point that the 3rd game in racing game franchises usually is the best, because Burnout 3 is my favourite Burnout game, and Burnout 3 was my very first PlayStation 2 game. I got it with my PS2. So while I was playing like Pokemon Colosseum on my GameCube, because I got my PS2 and GameCube at the same time, so I got Pokemon Colosseum on my GameCube, and I got like Burnout 3 on my PS2, and I played the GameCube first because I really wanted to play the GameCube. I was so excited for it, and then I played PS2 and I played Burnout 3, and I noticed the demo for Need for Speed Underground 2, and when I played Underground 2, I actually kind of fell in love with the demo, and I just wanted to play the actual proper game. Just simply because of like the whole vibe it had, in, you know, the open world and roaming around in a car. Little did I know that you could also do crazy stuff like car customization. This game was speaking to my like personalization taste, because this game's definitely one of those games for people who love to personalize, to like do up vehicles and just like drive around in them. Like, Need for Speed Underground 2, while it may not be the second Need for Speed game, it's the second Need for Speed Underground game. And they improved everything from Underground 1 in every single meaning of the word, like in every single way. Like, no longer do you have to like be stuck with a single car. Now you can have a garage which can store up to 4 cars, which means that you can actually try different cars, and like you don't have to actually like buy all of like the like so-called best visual upgrades for your car, you know, which look fucking ugly when you have the highest visual rating and you just have a car that's just all carbon fiber, which looks ugly as fuck. Like, it makes it look like a freaking like it makes it look like an armored car or whatever the fuck, which is weird. But, you know, so you can like do up your main car however you want and have a second car which you just basically use for like the visual, like the visual rating. So that's handy instead of just having to like mess up your own car just simply to get the high visual rating and then like change it right back to where it was, which is really annoying. And there's other things about it as well that they improved, like you've got like an open world, which back then open world wasn't common and it isn't super big. Just having free roam. I think free roam is what I want. I don't want open world games, I want free roaming games. But not necessarily like open world. I want the free roaming to have like I mean, I don't necessarily need to have free roaming. I can play linear games. I mean, Battlefield 2 is a linear game, but I think in racing games having a free roam is nice, just simply so I can drive around in a sandbox. I think that's all I really want. I don't need to be huge, I don't need it to be big, I just want to have a detailed sandbox that looks good. That looks good to drive in. It could be a small area for all I care, but as long as it looks good, that's all that matters. But yeah, you had that, which was great, but you also had way more customization options. Like, I'm not going to say that this game has the best customization in the series. Like, that for me would be Carbon, because you had like the auto sculpt and that lot, but there's a lot of unique things that this game has customization wise. That another thing about Carbon as well is that Carbon has like way more vinyl slots. This only has 4, which, yeah, you can't get as creative with the vinyls as you can in Carbon, and that's one of the reasons why it's not my favourite. But that, and some of the later Need for Speed games also have great customization, but for the time this was the best customization like in racing games, because you had like so many things that you could customize on your car that are just insane. Like, you could customize hydraulics to like make your car like jump like a freaking wild animal and that lot, and you can have like, you could change the color of your nitrous, and like you can like change like the fucking engine neon even though you never see it. You can have like split hoods, like you can have like spinners on your wheels. You could deck out the trunk of your car so you can like have like audio systems. You can even have a freaking computer monitor in the back of your car. You know, they thought of everything, you know, and you could have like scissor doors. There's just so many crazy things that you could do with your cars in this game that they never did before. Another thing I like about this game is it's pretty grounded for an underground racing game, outside of the fact that there's no police. But do we really need police? Really? I don't think we do. Sometimes they can be a bit of a nuisance. But I really love how like you have sponsorships and you actually feel like you're actually there. You actually feel like you're actually a race, like an underground racer in this game, because you're getting sponsorships and you're doing things legit despite it being underground, and it just feels like, you know, you're working your way up and getting known and like getting sponsored by companies, and you want to obviously do well to impress the companies so that they give you money and access to new cars and stuff. And like, this game is a little bloated and it can be a bit frustrating at times because the AI can be brutal, and like some of the events like kind of suck. Like they do like like drag races I was never huge on and stuff like that. But you know, like, I think that the game more than makes up for it, and just the ability to like customize your car. And I love the tuning in this game. Like, you can tune so many different things, and it kind of feels more like the way they present it is so much better than later entries, and there's so many little things that you can do, and it just makes you feel like every time you're working on your car and making those little adjustments and improvements just feels so satisfying. It's just like, it makes you care more about the vehicle that you're making. It's your own homegrown vehicle, and it's just like the relationship with the player and their vehicle is so strong in this game. It cannot be understated, and I think no Need for Speed game has ever come close to having that feel be as close to the feel that Underground 2 has between the player and their vehicle, because your vehicle truly feels like your own special baby in this game. and not just like just a random vehicle. And I really love that. And you know, like just I love the visual presentation of Bayview, the neon lights of like the South Market, and just like it's a gorgeous place to race around. Like definitely my favorite city in the Need for Speed series from like an aesthetic point of view. I fucking adore Underground 2 in so many ways. It's not perfect, but it is my second favorite Need for Speed game. My favorite is Carbon, but this is my second favorite. You know, it's not without its flaws, but I do love this game, and I think that it definitely deserves praise, and there's a reason why a lot of people love this game. So, yeah. Now we're getting to the third game in the series. So this is where things get interesting. So, in terms of like beat-em-ups, I think it's pretty obvious which game I'm going to put here. I think most people would, to be honest. Now, notice I put Onimusha 2 here. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, well, that's not a beat-em-up. It's actually a character action game because we're special. We use the character action like definition because we are elite. We are superior gamers, you know? But no, it's a beat-em-up because let's be real here. Beat-em-ups are basically games which focus on combat because you're beating things up. You know, whether you're beating things up with a sword or beating things up with your bare hands, it doesn't matter. They're all beat-em-ups. That's how I look at it. I put, like, hack and slash and beat-em-up. It's the same thing, guys. It's the same thing. Mechanically speaking, they are the same. They revolve around the same principles and mechanics as each other. Stop arguing over this. Seriously. But my pick for, like, third in the series should be pretty obvious. It's another very small one, but yeah. And I'm putting this version specifically because, well, there's reasons and you'll understand why. Yep, we are putting Devil May Cry 3 as my favourite beat-em-up that is third in the series. Now, as you all know, a lot of people like to call this a character action game because, well, like, they think they're special or something, I don't know. But Devil May Cry 3, Special Edition specifically, is my favourite, like, 3D beat-em-up. Like, it is. I mean, Urban Reign is very close. I probably could put Urban Reign over Devil May Cry 3 sometimes, and Devil May Cry 3 over Urban Reign sometimes. I think what makes Devil May Cry 3 the best is not so much the gameplay. I think the gameplay is done better in Urban Reign overall, but I think it's the total package. The story, the music, you know, everything about it just fits the nature of what the game's trying to do, and that slow crawl up to being, like, getting stronger and like getting better at the game. The whole game's narrative revolves around that climb, like literally up a tower, you know, and then you knocked down that tower and you're humbled, and then you climb back up, like stubbornly climb back up to, you know, give it another go, and it just reflects the journey of getting good at something and the journey of like self-improvement. That's what this game's story revolves around, and it's really interesting how it handles every single theme of this game from the very beginning, where you see Virgil at the top of the tower and Dante's right at the bottom. It's just like, I have to reach the top of this, I have to conquer this challenge, and you know, like, it's just the whole game revolves around this one concept. From gameplay wise all the way up to like the music and everything, it all revolves around it. And the thing is, the story doesn't have way too much dialogue. There's not much talking in the game. Every single line of dialogue is memorable. Every single line of dialogue is important and matters, but there isn't too much of it to the point that you're bored, like in Devil May Cry 5. You know, you're not just standing there watching you're not just sat there watching people like stand around and talk. You're actually seeing all kinds of crazy choreography going on in the cutscenes, and that keeps you engaged because there's always some action. And the thing I love about the cutscenes is most of the moves you see in the cutscenes are moves you can do in the game. It's almost like the cutscenes exist to showcase the possibilities of what Dante can actually do. Yes, there's a few things that he can't do, like surf on rockets, but that would later become a feature that you'd see in Devil May Cry 5. But you can do things like spin on fucking poles and surfing on enemies' bodies, like, which they show the surfing on enemies' bodies in like the intro cutscene, and it's always so fun to do that. And for some reason, no Devil May Cry game has allowed you to do that since. You know, Devil May Cry 3 is it's the one game like in the Devil May Cry series that is like above every other game. Like Like, this is the only game Devil May Cry really needed. Let's be honest. We didn't. The rest of the Devil May Cry series could disappear for all I care. We only need one game in the Devil May Cry series, and it's 3. 3 could have just been Devil May Cry 3 could have just been a standalone game for all I care, because it is above every other game. Like, it is above every other game in the series in so many ways. It is the peak of the series, and like, it is so much better than every other game in so many ways. Like, it is just peak fucking beat 'em up gaming. Like, it fucking is. Like, there's just so much to love about this game. So many little details. So much, like, everything feels like it has purpose and meaning. You know, like, there's so much that you're encouraged to, like, vary up your combo. You know, like, the game feels like it's challenging, but at the same time, like, you're playing as Dante. Dante has a lot of maneuvers, and you have a large toolkit, so you can definitely take advantage of that and make the game a lot easier. And if you're really good at the game, you can really absolutely, like, you can just break the game just with Dante's sheer utilities, you know? This is one of those games where the character is overpowered, but you just have to learn how to use him, you know? You have all the power in the world. Like, you are, like, extremely strong, but you have to be able to control that power, and I think that's what Devil May Cry 3 feels like at times. It's a tough game if you don't know what you're doing, but when you know what you're doing, it's a lot of fun. It's really exhilarating. It's really fucking awesome. I don't really need to tell you guys this, because everybody would probably agree that Devil May Cry 3 is the best, except those weirdos who think that 5 is better, even though 5 is just not good. But, you know, like, Devil May Cry 3 will never be topped. It's one of a kind. It's a game just like Valkyrie Profile 2, just like Kirby Air Ride. Well, Kirby Air Ride's getting a sequel, but, you know, it's one of those games that you'll never see again. You know? You'll never see another Urban Reign, you'll never see another Valkyrie Profile 2, and you will never see another Devil May Cry 3. It's a one-of-a-kind game. You know? One-of-a-fucking-kind game. Okay, so RPGs. Here's the interesting thing, guys. When I actually kind of came up with the idea for this 3x3, you know, of like first, second, and third, I encountered a problem. And this is why I picked no handheld, by the way, because if I was allowing handheld games, I'd pick a cop-out answer. I'm going to do it right now. Let's see if I can find, there we go. This would be my cop-out answer. And it would definitely be a cop-out. But this is the answer that I would be picking if I allowed handheld. This is why I have no handhelds, guys. This is why I put the no handheld game rule, because this would be there. Because even though it's not Valkyrie Profile 3, technically it's a spin-off game. Like, we don't have a Valkyrie Profile 3, we'll probably never have a Valkyrie Profile 3, but, you know, Covenant of the Plume would have made it if it was for handhelds. But I'm not going to allow two Valkyrie Profile games to be here. I think it's a bit too much. I do. So for that, and plus, is it really Valkyrie Profile 3? Is it really? I prefer to not think of it as Valkyrie Profile 3 and prefer to think of it more as a spin-off game, because it's very different. So my pick for this, it's very hard because third installments for JRPGs tend to be yeah, they don't tend to be that great. Like, usually with JRPGs, you get the first game, everybody adores the first game for some reason. Everybody adores the first game. Then you get the sequel, which is secretly the best game in the series, and is secretly legendary. And then you get the third game, and you're just like, what happened? Like, what the fuck happened here? Like, how did you fuck this up? That's usually the case. That's usually the case with most JRPGs. It's just like, first game, you know, that's usually the game that most people like. Second game, absolute masterpiece. Third game, what the hell just happened to this game? What the fuck did you just fucking do to this series? That's usually the case. So, it's very hard to pick a third game in the series, besides Covenant of the Plume, that is actually worthy of being on this 3x3. But after a bit of soul searching, I managed to find one. Now, I know I said no remakes here, but here's the thing. I played the original version of this game. I never finished it. But I played it, and I enjoyed it. Why did I not finish it? Well, because I was playing this game with a friend, and we never got around to finishing it, and then I just picked up the remake and I finished that. You already know what this game's already going to be, guys. It's going to be the third installment of the Seiken Densetsu series. Seiken Densetsu 3, yes. This is the one. Now, I know a lot of people will think, well, what about Xenosaga 3? Well, I've never played it, guys. Maybe it is the best third installment in a JRPG, but I've never played it, so I can't put it here. I'm sure it is, because 2 was a piece of shit, apparently, so surely 3 is the one that will ultimately make everything better. But I've never played it, so I'm gonna go with Seiken Densetsu 3. This game, like, I mean, there's so many great action RPGs out there, and the thing is, you know, this was around that era where it was competing with, East 4. It was competing with fucking, like, Tales of Phantasia. It was competing with Star Ocean. It was competing with the Quintet games. You know, like, this game was competing with so many other action RPGs, yet it still manages to stand out as a solid contender, like, among all of those excellent games. Obviously, that era of, like, JRPGs, fire action RPGs, is very primitive, but there's something lovable about them. What I love about Seiken Densetsu 3 the most is just how much customizability you have over the game. You get to choose the characters you want in the game, like, to play throughout the game. You get to choose which 3 characters you take into your main party. You know, you have multiplayer, so you can have one player control one character, the other player control the other character. You don't in the remake, sadly, which is kind of weird, but, you know, the thing I love about this game the most is the class system. How you can pick different classes, which allows you to customize your characters more and make your experience unique. That's what I love. I love personalization in games and to make my experience a unique one, and this game allows it. You get to pick whatever characters you want. I personally went with Hawkeye, Reese, and Kevin. You can do whatever you want. You could pick Duran and like Angela and Charlotte if you wanted, but I went with Hawkeye, Reese, and Kevin, which are like all melee fighters, funnily enough, which was kind of hard because I didn't have any casters, but it's just like, that was kind of interesting. Like, I liked Hawkeye, I thought it was interesting, like, I thought it was an interesting pick. He kind of reminds me of Locke from Final Fantasy VI a little bit. He's kind of got that same sort of personality, which I kind of vibe with, you know? And then you got Reese. I like using Reese because she's got a Valkyrie class. And as you all know, like, I like Valkyrie profile too, so, you know, I like Valkyrie profile, so it's like I had to pick a Valkyrie character in the group. And Kevin, well, I don't know, like, I just like the whole idea of like a fist fighter in the party. You know, you gotta have that guy who's, you know, likes a bit of fisticuffs and likes a bit of a punch up. You know, it's just like Brad Hawk in Urban Reign. He likes a punch up. You know, you gotta have someone like that. So yeah, and you know, I'm not gonna say that it's the best game of that era. Like, there are better JRPGs, action JRPGs, action JRPGs even. Oh god, stumbling my bloody words here. Action JRPGs even that are better than Seiken Densetsu 3, in my opinion. A lot of that's due to the fact that the music in this game, it's nice, but it's not the best. I think if you're looking for music, you're picking Dawn of East over this easily. But if you're looking for personalization, that's where this game stands out, and that's where this game definitely stands out as it kind of holds its own against all the other Super Nintendo action RPGs of the time. And that's one of the things that I really enjoyed the most about Seiken Densetsu 3. You know, like, it's tough having to compete with like all these other games that I love, like that from this era, that are action RPGs that are kind of outdated, but at the same time you can't help but love them. But this one's definitely a solid one, and yeah, even though I never finished the original game, I finished the remake and I loved it. But I enjoyed the original game just as much. I think they both have their. I think they're both good in their own right. I think the remake was a very faithful remake to the original as well. But the thing is, I'm putting the original here because, you know, no remakes. But would I put the remake here if I didn't have the no remakes rule? Absolutely, I would. But yeah, I love Seiken Densetsu. I love Seiken Densetsu 3. It's just in a sea of other great action RPGs at the time that makes it very hard to compare them. That would be an interesting comparison of like all the action RPGs of that era fighting against one another for supremacy. Oh god, what a moment that would be. And finally, racing games. We all know what game I'm going to be putting here, don't we, folks? We all know what. There can only be one game that can fit this category. Now, this is why I put no handheld as well, because there is a third handheld game that we're going to ignore, like, just simply because I don't want people to, like, think, oh, well, this is technically the fourth game. No, ignore that handheld game, that doesn't exist. We are putting F-Zero GX here. Absolutely, we had to put it here. It's the only option. There can be no other. F-Zero GX is peak racing game experience. It is the most masculine game ever made. This was probably the second most masculine game ever made, but this is the most masculine game ever made. You know, the masculine energy, the testosterone is unrivaled. The most adrenaline pumping video game experience of all time. This is it. Nothing will match it. It is pure, unfiltered adrenaline from beginning to end. It's a game that has a story mode on top of car customization, well, machine customization, because you're customizing machines, you know, so vehicle customization. It has unique endings for every character, theme songs for every character. You get freaking, like, you know, a freaking, like, what, interview with each character where you get to ask them questions and discover more of the lore of the F-Zero universe, you know, and more of their characterization and their own unique quirks, on top of having the most exhilarating racing game experience of your life. This is peak gaming. This is just peak gaming. Like, besides this is peak gaming. This is the second best game ever made. This is the best. This game is fucking legendary. But really, this is the best of its kind. This game is perfect in every single way. The only problem with this game is that it's fucking brutally difficult. And I will understand if people think that this game is too hard. You have every right to. It's bullshit hard sometimes, but man, does it feel satisfying to finally overcome it. But yeah, it is one of those brutally hard games that is just a masterpiece. Do I need to say more about this game? This game, like, this is, if you're gonna get the GameCube for any game, if you're only gonna get one game for the GameCube, this is the one. This is the fucking one. F-Zero GX is a fucking masterpiece, legendary game. It is pure, unfiltered adrenaline, and we all need that in our lives at some point, don't we? So yes, that is my 3x3 Leo. I hope you enjoyed my 3x3. Like, I hope that you respect my choices. I know that not everyone's going to agree. I know that everyone's going to have their own choices and their own picks. And if you want to do a video response yourself, you are free to do a video response yourself. Legend of Leo encourages it. So if you do a YouTube channel yourself and you want to do your own 3x3, absolutely feel free to do so. I encourage it. Do your own. Do whatever stipulations you want. You don't have to do any stipulations if you want. Just do a 3x3, you know. I encourage you to do that. So yes, that is the end of my video. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you all later.